Wonderful. Well, welcome. I'm Nidal, and Mohini and I are hosting this session. And I just, what an honor to follow the powerful and immensely inspiring words that Thait shared with us earlier. I'm so appreciating her calling out how our healing is an act of resistance and our healing is political. And Mohini and I hope that our time together today here, the 75 minutes we have together, can be part of building the sanctuaries that she referred to with each other in our collective healing journeys. Um, Especially want to uplift, as Tide shared, justice and healing are embodied journeys. And so our talk and session feels like such a beautiful flow from all of the words and beautiful poetry that she shared. Um, so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started. And yes, please keep adding your introductions, and I will hand it over. Oh, sorry. So the first thing we wanted to cover, we can go to the next slide. Um, the first thing we wanted to cover before we jump in is just we want to make note that this session is being recorded. So if you would like to not be on video, like please choose as what feels comfortable for you. We will have a few sections during this session where we will be having open collective discussion. And during that time, the recording will be stopped. So those are not going to be part of the recording. All that will be part of the recording are the parts where Mohini and I are speaking and sharing. We do want to share a trigger warning. We will mention childhood sexual abuse, but we will not be speaking about this in detail or at length. So please, and remember that you have the option to bring down the volume on your device at any time anyone is sharing, and rejoin when you feel ready to. And we just want to highlight, that the title of our talk is Beyond Talk Therapy, the Healing Power of Returning to Our Roots. And we just want to highlight that you're in the right place if you're finding yourself hitting a ceiling in talk therapy. So, and that you want to explore other options that are rooted in our body, in our spirit, and in our ancestral practices and roots. So, with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mohini.
Mhm. Hello, everyone. Welcome. So excited to share space with you and be in community. If we can move on to the next slide, please. So, a little bit about us and how we got here. Nadal and I met through the SOAR's anthology. So, yay. Thanks for that space and the amazing community that we've been able to cultivate here that y'all are now a part of as well. And I'll share a little bit about me and how I got here. Um, I'm a first generation American, Indian American, and my dad is from Gujarat. My mom is from Pune, Maharashtra. And I grew up in New Jersey in a very small town where I was pretty much the only brown person in my school. Maybe some of y'all can relate to that. I grew up feeling very disconnected from my Indianness and tried very, very hard to connect or tried very hard to assimilate into the white world, except I'm brown. So there's that part. It was hard to fit in. And I ended up erasing a lot of my connection with my culture as a part of wanting to fit in and really just pretending like I wasn't Indian, to be honest. So I didn't have a lot of cultural support other than food. That was my main connection to my Indian roots was food. And due to life experiences and just my own, life, including sexual childhood abuse, I was really disconnected from my body. I was all up in my head. I intellectualized my feelings. I was very smart in many ways, but I was very in my head for much of my life. And it served me well. It did me well for however long it did. And until the point where I realized that I was really disconnected and I wanted to understand how to connect with my body. So, part of my journey was really connecting to creating that creating that connection with my mind, body, and spirit. So maybe you have also attempted to assimilate, whether by choice or not, and now you're in a space where you want to deepen your own healing practices, and that includes maybe that does include talk therapy and more Western ways, and which is great. And like Nidal said, maybe now it's a journey of how can we connect? How do you want to connect to your roots and the practices that are rooted in our culture? So I think it's important to understand that if you don't have a connection with your roots, that's okay. That's part of the journey. That's the journey to just be here. So thank you for being here, and that's why I really love the work that I do with Rani Rising and being able to share a space with other South Asian people who are connecting and healing and reclaiming their roots. And Nidal, I'll pass it to you for your intro.
Thanks so much, Mohini. And as Mohini said, we met as authors in the Sanctuaries anthology. And for me, that journey of writing was also such a healing journey. And so it really speaks to what we're going to talk about today. I'm a queer Muslim immigrant mother. I moved to the US when I was 18 from Bangladesh. And for much of my life, I really struggled to find belonging in mainstream South Asian and Muslim communities and spaces. And also in my time in the US in my 20s and 30s, I really was mostly moving through majority white academic spaces in like small towns. And so community was hard to find like in brown spaces. And I accessed talk therapy on and off throughout the years. But it really wasn't until my daughter was a toddler that I really invested in talk therapy in a consistent way and stayed with it for several years, and continue to access that as a resource. And for me, it was that being a mother, it just really brought into focus for me that I had to work through my own childhood trauma, especially also having a history of childhood sexual abuse from a family member, and that was the one way I thought I could disrupt and possibly heal some of the intergenerational trauma cycles. So while talk therapy helped me in some ways, I realized that it still just kind of kept me moving through life, similar to what Mohini said, stuck in my head and in my mind. And so I feel like many of us have mixed experiences with our families and our cultures of origin, especially if you're someone who's coloring outside the line and you don't fit neatly into the boxes, or you're questioning how patriarchy shows up in our norms and belief systems. And what I've also learned in this journey of connecting back to my body and my roots is that our roots have such immense wisdom and possibilities for healing. And it resonates with something Taij said this morning, which is I really wonder what would our belief systems and ways of being look like had we not been colonized and had the freedom to evolve organically over time. And I really feel like finding that reclaiming our healing practices from our roots on our own terms can be a pathway of like living out into that imagination. So I just want to invite us in this space today to lean into the knowledge that our bodies carry ancestral wisdom and healing capabilities, and finding your own unique path back to your whole self can be difficult and scary. But when you get to do that in held and supported ways, it can be a truly liberatory gift. And just as a shout out, what you're seeing on the slide is Mohini and my I am poems. I would love to invite you all. If you see the structure, feel free to do your own I am poem. That too can be a beautiful way of connecting to your roots.
Thank you. Okay, next slide, please. So a little bit about our time together. We are gonna go over community agreements, a grounding practice that Nadal's gonna guide us through some knowledge share of what your experiences have been like with connecting with your roots. And again, if you feel like you have a limited relationship to your roots, that's okay. Welcome. We welcome you here. This is a place to explore, to stay curious and open and see what comes up. So, and then we're going to have some time for a reflective conversation, and that will be when we pause the recording. And then I will be guiding us through a movement practice to drop in and connect with our body. So, if you do feel like you're maybe all up in your head and you analyze a lot, welcome. We'll be connecting a little bit more into with our breath and our with our body.
Thanks, Mohini. So in terms of community agreements, we just want to highlight again the community agreements that were already shared earlier today that are source community agreements for being in space with each other. So I just want to invite you all to take a moment to read them, take them in. If there's any that you want to add or you have questions about, please feel free to drop that in the chat. And the one that I really want to highlight is that we uphold a culture of consent and respect personal boundaries. And how we do that in this space is by practicing confidentiality. So I just really want to highlight that when we're having our group shares, please remember that what is said in here stays in here, but what is learned in here grows from here. So we would appreciate if you can please respect that so we can have a safe container for folks to be able to share with each other. Just taking a quick look at the chat to see if there's any questions or additions for the community agreement. Thanks. Sounds like we're on the same page, so we will move on. So, as Mohini said, we wanted to start out with a grounding practice, just as a quick and simple way of connecting to our body and where we are as we get started today. So, I want to invite you to be on video or turn on your video. And also, I just want to make sure, please follow with me if that feels accessible to you. If at any point you don't wish to, feel free, do what you feel comfortable doing. You're always a choice. So again, as I'm guiding you, you only need to move through what feels right for you and your spirit today in this moment. Okay. So I'm going to invite you to just kind of find your seat, finding the surface that you are sitting on, or if you're standing, finding your feet on the ground. And let's just take a deep breath in through your nose and a deep exhale through your mouth, just cleansing. And we're going to do that a few more times, inhaling deeply through your nose, all the way into your chest, your belly, filling it up. And big exhale through your mouth, clearing all of the air out. And just do that two more times at your own pace. And with the next exhale, if it is okay and inviting to you, you can close your eyes or you can just turn your gaze inwards. So if you've closed your eyes or turned your gaze inwards, I want to invite you to just find your natural breath. Just finding a moment to settle into however you need to be breathing right now, whether those are inhales through your nose, exhales through your mouth, or you're inhaling and exhaling through your nose or through your mouth. Just feel into what your body is asking for in this moment. And just noticing the breath, noticing the air. And as you notice your breath, we're going to do a short practice that will help us connect to all the different parts of our body with our breath. So as you're breathing, I want you to pay attention to the crown of your head, your forehead, and with your next inhale, try to squeeze and create tension into your forehead, into the crown of your head, and hold it for just a few seconds. And then with your exhale, releasing that tension that you just created. And just do that 2 more times. Inhale, creating a tightness in your forehead, in your head. Hold. And with your exhale, just letting it go. And then next, we'll move to your face. With your inhale, scrunching up your face, creating tightness. Holding. And exhale, letting it go. Let's do that one more time with your inhale, scrunching up your face just as tight as you need to. Maybe it's like a big TV smile. And letting it go. Now we're going to move to your neck and your shoulders. With your inhale, tightening your neck, your throat, your shoulders, squeezing in and holding. And exhale. Doing that one more time. Inhaling tightness into your throat, into your shoulders. Maybe your shoulders come up and hunch up. And with the exhale, letting it go. We'll move now to your chest and to your belly. This time, as you inhale, tighten your chest and your belly, pulling it in, holding. On exhale, letting it go and expanding, expanding. One more time, inhaling, creating tightness in your chest, in your belly, and exhaling. And now we'll move to our legs and our feet. Actually, before that, I want us to move to our pelvis and to our butt. So just inhaling and tightening your glutes, tightening your pelvis, sucking in. And with the exhale, letting go. A lot of us hold a lot in this area. So just paying attention to your body as you're doing this. Let's do that one more time. Inhaling, tightening your pelvis, your glutes, holding, and exhaling. And finally, let's move to our lower body, to our legs and our feet. With your inhale, tightening your thigh muscles, your calf muscles, and your feet. Maybe you're scrunching your toes and holding that and exhaling and releasing that. And let's do that one more time, scrunching your thighs, calves, and releasing. And finally, we're going to do all of our body together. So this time with your inhale, just squeeze everything from head to toe and hold it. And then exhale with a deep, long exhale, longer than your inhale. And do that one more time at your own pace. Inhaling, scrunching as long as you need to, and exhaling longer than your inhale. And now just come back to your breath and just notice. Just notice the sensations in your body, in your spirit. Just take a moment to notice what you're feeling. Don't have to change anything. You're just taking a moment to acknowledge. Now we'll just take a few breaths to send some gratitude to ourselves, to our bodies. So let's take a deep inhale through your nose, big exhale through your mouth. With the next inhale, sending our gratitude to all of our plant family who makes our breath possible. And exhaling. And with the next inhale, sending gratitude to yourself, to this body that holds you, that is always here for you. And exhaling. And whenever you're ready, and invite you to come back into this space, looking away from the screen and just taking a look over your right shoulder and behind you, just taking in some colors, naming 2 or 3 colors to yourself that you're seeing, and then moving over your left shoulder, looking around and behind you, taking in 2 or 3 colors and naming them to yourself. I'll welcome you back into the space. Thank you for grounding with us. And I'm going to hand it over to Mohini. Before we do that, yeah, just feel free to drop into the chat how that felt, if that felt strange or good, or however, whatever is coming up for you from doing that exercise, or if you fell asleep, or if it was difficult to do. All of those are okay and okay to share.
Thank you, Nidal. That was so lovely and really helped me come back to the present moment right now. Thank you. Very much needed. Okay. Whew. I feel like I'm still returning from wherever I just went off to. Thank you. Okay, so let's get into our knowledge share. So, next slide, please. Thank you. So, what helped me, and I feel like also definitely helped Nadal, is what we spoke about earlier. Is about being able to bridge that gap that we've had, that I've had, I'll speak for myself, that I've had with my brain and body, to really understanding that they're not separate. And I feel like in Western world, that is what we've been told, that everything is compartmentalized and they're not connected. And so that is the opposite of what we know. Soma, which is part of what somatics means, soma means being in its wholeness. And so, meaning that everything is connected and interdependent with our bodies, with earth, with spirit, with each other. We're not disconnected. We've been told we've been disconnected, but truly we are all connected. And so being of who we are is our soma, and it's all connected. However, colonialism, the Western world, Eurocentric logic really have created this individualism. And so if there are any skeptics in the room, in the Zoom room, welcome. If it doesn't feel like, if you maybe just had that grounding practice that Nidal guided us through, and if that felt a little, ugh, I don't know. I'm not sure how to do that. That felt too long. That felt uncomfortable. I don't know how to get in there into that space. That totally makes sense because we have been conditioned to have barriers to access for our healing. So know that there's nothing wrong with you. This is more or less by design. And the Western world is really focused on that hyper individualism and not community collective care. And when we think about what our families, our roots, maybe in South Asia, wherever you're from, um, we are reminded of families living together. We are reminded of village life, and that's part of reclaiming our roots, is coming back to collective care and community care rather than being separate, instead of the compartmentalization that we've had. So when we have the mind body spirit liberation, it's not just for ourselves, it is for the collective. And when one person does it, they're doing it for everyone. And when you do it, you're doing it for everyone. And so these little droplets of impact and liberatory change is what is going to make all of this, we're going to come together as part of this healing. So all of this quote came from the Healing Justice. And so I just wanted to name that this is a really beautiful organization that Nidal connected me to, that really we can understand the many layers in which we've been disconnected from ourselves, from our roots, and how can we reconnect. Okay, next slide, please. So for healing to take place, for it to truly be felt, for it to take root, to remake and rearrange us, it has to happen not only in the realm of our thinking, but in the soil of our bodies. So somatics, basic definitions, is the study of our bodies, trauma, and the practices that we generate to develop awareness of our bodies and transform them. Embodiment is related to somatics, but inclusive of all the different practices, rituals, ceremonies that people have used across time to transform not only the individual bodies, but our collective bodies as well. And this is from Prentice Hemphill, beautiful work that they do also. Okay, next slide, please. So yeah, really coming back to, if you feel like maybe you're the kind of person that you intellectualize or you rationalize your emotions rather than feeling them in your body, this is why we're here. Welcome, and we're going to continue to just go in deeper and deeper as we move through this. And some examples of what this could look like when we are disconnected from our bodies, for example, is being able to slow down and connect to our breath and connect to the sensations that we might be feeling. So all of these are different examples of how we can drop in. And Bell Hooks, who I absolutely love, and maybe there's some other fellow Bell Hooks lovers here, rarely, she quotes, "Rarely, if ever, are any of us healed in isolation, and that healing is an act of communion." I love this quote. Nidal and I both thought of this quote together, that this was the quote that we wanted to share, because it really is such a beautiful example of why it's important to heal in community. Like, the self-care can only work for so long. And so, we have to come together. The community care is really important. And so you may start healing in Western white spaces and using those modalities like talk therapy or CBT or whatever EMDR is a popular one too. Whatever those practices are and modalities that you have tried or not tried, or maybe you've been curious about, they could be very helpful for where you're at. We're not saying that talk therapy is not helpful. We are saying that there's other options as well that could be a nice coupling, that could be a part of your reclamation story. So what does that look like for you to explore being in spaces that are BIPOC community healing spaces, that are South Asian healing spaces, and really that are community centered? And what kind of community healing do you need, right? We are relational beings as humans, right? So unfortunately, harm happens in relation, and so does healing. So when we come in these kind of spaces where we can come together and heal the relational harm, then that's how we evolve. That's how we change. That's how the healing happens. So the arc of healing is not a destination, but a lifelong journey. And the healing towards liberation is a path for the courageous. It is not always rainbows and butterflies, let's be real. And that is part of the journey, is really being able to understand that the humanness of all of this is we have this full range of human emotions and experiences. And can we be real about it? Can we be true about it? Can we be courageous and share our stories, that this is part of my story, but this is not the end of my story? And what are we going to do to not only heal ourselves, but also continue to heal the collective? So the ruptures create pathways for healing and potential repair that we can do in relationship. Okay, beautiful. And then, yes, you don't need to do this alone. That's that's a big part. You don't have to do this alone. Okay, next slide. So now you might be thinking, great. Okay, so now I know I have this new level of awareness. Maybe I've been in my head a lot. I want to drop into my body, but I don't know how to do that. That sounds scary. How? And you're like, how? How do I do this? Slow it all down. Slow it all down. And so the level at which seems slightly uncomfortable to you, but that is going into your growth edge around slowness. We live in a hustle and grind world. We live in a very, very fast, what's the next thing? What's the next accomplishment? And when we take the time to just take a moment, like Nadal guided us through, slow it all down, we're creating a new level of safety within our body. So that's a big one, slowing down, getting into nature, and then reclaiming cultural, spiritual, ritualistic practices. So think about maybe when you were growing up, what were some of the things that your family did? What were some practices that you saw and you kind of maybe were involved in, but didn't necessarily know why they were doing things like that, why they were lighting incense, why, whatever it was, whatever the situation is. Think about the art and the music and the dance that you had around your house, around your home. What was that? What was that like? And how can you create art, letting go of the perfectionism and simply to create and to express? And when all else fails, return to your breath. Tune into your senses and notice what you notice. Without the judgment, just being present. What is present? What is true for you right now in this moment? And there's so many different ways that we can bring the ancestral wisdom and knowledge that we have from our roots into the now and explore them with curiosity. For example, eating with your hands. We were colonized out of that, thinking that that was savage, right? I love eating with my hands. My food tastes so much better when I have that mind body connection. And so thinking of something simple like that, oiling hair, having your chai as your morning ritual, lighting incense, all of these different practices, think about them and you can kind of explore what maybe you can explore in a new way. Okay, beautiful. Next page. Next slide. and pass it to Nidal.
Thanks so much, Mohini. So yeah, the next thing we're gonna do is actually do a little bit of that reflection and do some journaling if that is inviting to you. And so, as Mohini said, we all have ways or practices in our lives from our families, from our culture that we find to be supportive and grounding. And maybe you feel disconnected and that's okay, but this is like, again, a great time, as Mohini said, to like get curious and open and perhaps lean into remembering from childhood some of these things. I'll share some of what has shown up for me, and I'll invite Mohini to share some of hers. So, for example, for me, as I slowed down,
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is so lovely to just see how much we get to reclaim and deepen our practices in our roots. And it's just so magical. I think I'm excited to see how this all comes together and compiles together. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to guide us through a movement practice. You are invited to do this standing. You are invited to stay in your seat. You can keep your camera on. You can turn your camera off, whatever is best for you. My main ask, though, is you stay present to this experience. So it's going to be really easy to get on your phone, check Instagram real quick, reply to some text messages, and this practice is for you. So stay open, notice what you notice, like you did with when Nadal guided us through the practice there, and be curious. Be curious what wants to come up for you during this practice. We are going to make our way to a dance party, and I don't want to tell you too much, but it's going to be a guided practice, a guiding journey of your emotions. So we're going to see what wants to come up and what has maybe been suppressed, pushed down, shoved under the rug. And this is a space for you to bring it up. So it might get messy. We welcome that. You are your own best healer. So everything that I'm giving you here is an invitation. Notice what you notice, check in with yourself, and try not to judge whatever's coming up. It's coming up because it wants to come up. We want it to come up, and we want it to come up in a ways that we can express in healthy ways versus you being angry and cutting someone off and expressing your anger through road rage. Okay, that's not the most ideal situation. Is it one way to express anger? Yes. And we're going to go through a journey. So journey with me, journey with yourself, and let's do this. If anyone has any questions beforehand, please just drop it in the chat. And yeah, my main invitation for you here is to just meet yourself wherever you're at. Wherever you are, try not to judge yourself. No one else is judging you. Everyone else is in their own head and in their own experience. So allow yourself to be in that space as well. And acceptance and appreciation for wherever you are on your journey, wherever you are. Okay, let me just check the chat. I think that there are no questions, but everyone's all about that dance party though. So we are getting there, I promise. However, we're gonna be going through some things to get there. Okay, so just be open, stay courageous, and be willing to go through the mess. Okay, here we go. So if we can get that music going. And let's get started. So I'm going to be inviting us to stand. Again, you do however you need to do. I'll be doing it with you. Let me just you can turn your video on or off, whatever you need. Can we turn the music up just a little bit, please? Volume. And make sure you can hear me and the music comes up. Okay. All right. So let's just start shaking it out. Take out any wiggles. We've been sitting for a little bit, so just shake it all out. And then slowly coming to a gentle space. You can rest your eyes or not. Just find a gentle sway side to side. Notice your thoughts here. Allow them to float away like clouds. Start adding your arms in if that feels good. Remember, everything is an invitation, so you do and move however you want to move. And start to sync up your breath with your movement. Maybe you're moving one way, swaying one side, inhaling, exhaling and swaying to the other side. Just bringing awareness to your breath, to sensations in your body, slowing it down. And even just noticing the resistance that might be coming up for you. Oh my gosh, how long are we here for? Are we done yet? This is so slow. Just notice the thoughts. Moving your body. No one is grading you. Is judging you, being in your own experience. Stretching your body, moving your body how you need to. Taking it out however you need. Noticing the self-protection you've been around, feeling calmness, feeling peace. Back your arms in, gently bringing care to your body. We're slowly going to drop in a little bit deeper. And here I invite you to envision a younger version of yourself. We're going to call in our sacred rate. So here you can start stomping your feet. Have your arms in.
It is sacred rage.
Remember, this is all an invitation, but notice where your own resistance is.
It is sacred rage.
Use your arms like you're cutting through the bullshit of oppression, depression, cycles of silence and shame. Take up your breath. Do this for the younger versions of you who felt stuck. Didn't have the freedom like you do now to express.
Force of the mountain, force of the fire, force of the
chains,
force of desire.
Feel the anger, let the fire come from the earth, from your belly, from your pelvis. Let it flow up you.
Opening my mind to clarity. It is sacred
go
Force
here.
of the mountain, force of the fire, force of the river, force of
Get out.
desire,
Whatever you need to
force
do.
of the mountain, force of the fire, force of the river, force of desire.
Creating space.
It is
Slowing down
wondrous
your movement.
rain,
Notice
showing
what you
me the
notice.
truth of who I am.
Feel your heartbeat.
It is wondrous rain,
Feeling the truth.
helping me to truly
Giving you information on what you're passionate about from this rage. Woo! And then from this space, open your arms out. And you're coming home to yourself, what you just created space for, you let go of, and acceptance and appreciation for you being here. For all the versions of you, all the parts of you. You're no longer in the valley, making your way to the mountaintop. And freedom, the love, the support that you have with yourself, for your collective, for your community. Knowing that you're not alone on this healing journey, on this reclamation journey. And how does your body move? And you are free. Move however you want to move. Even adding a smile to your face if you can. Maybe people in your lineage maybe couldn't move like this, who couldn't express themselves like this, you get to be the cycle breaker. How do you move when you have no restriction? When you give yourself permission to be. Oh. You like whirl around like you're dancing with your younger self. If they saw you now, this younger version of you, they'd be so proud of you. Oh. Made it. Movement. Again, still noticing the thoughts and the resistance even in celebration. And one last song. We get to have fun. From this space, from this opening. What does your next level of freedom of expression look like? What does it feel like in your body? Move like that. Breathe like that. And have fun. Have fun. You're allowed to have some fun. That is part of the healing also. Yes. Were you holding yourself back from here too? Let yourself have some enjoyment. Move those hips. Go slow. Go fast. What do you need? Letting go of any more shame that might be coming up. Move like no one's watching. You know, when you're having your solo dance parties, give yourself permission to feel the joy, feel the pleasure, feel the fun, the celebration. Woo! 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 Okay, pause the music there. Slowly coming to some stillness. Notice what you notice in your body. Notice what you notice on your body. Notice what you notice outside of your body. And give yourself a big hug. Thank you to yourself. Thank you for journeying and being open and courageous to explore what is present, what wants to be seen and heard and felt and loved upon, and creating a space for it. And thank you for being here. Whew, you can shake it out, drink some water, make sure you get some water. And thank you all for being here. Okay, I'm gonna pass it to Nidal. I'm gonna get some water. And drop in the chat, how are you feeling? What came up for you? Let us know. Whew.
Thanks so much, Mohini, for that. Yeah, please drop in the chat how that was for you. I'm seeing lots of folks saying you didn't realize they needed that. Yes. Also, yeah, I mean, someone said dance party, so that definitely manifested. Thanks so much, Mohini. We are running behind on time, so yeah, we would love to hear from you how that felt, and also just invite you into your remix of everything we're sharing, some of the things we walked you through. Like, these are just things we do. There, you know, you can create your version of it. You create your own dance party that can look however you want it to. Um, Dancing for me is really a big one. In part of my healing journey, some of the ancestral messages I've received is from my maternal grandmothers. Several of them have have said to me, "Dance for us." Like that is literally what I have been hearing. And so I think sometimes just also know, like I think again, going back to what Taid shared about it's 7 generations before and 7 generations after that we are looking to take care of and heal as per indigenous elders from folks in this country. So same thing. A lot of these practices are for us to heal forward and backward. So because we're running out of time, we're just going to move through some quick wrap up things. So next slide. Yeah, we are going to share out the recording of the session for folks if you want to go back in. And then also everything y'all shared in the chat around the practices that already ground you or that come from your roots. Those are all going to be shared back with you, compiled. And then there's also a link that is being dropped in the chat for aftercare resources from Healing Justice London. They're a great group. They are South Asian led and doing lots of great healing justice work across the pond. But that resource is there, and also in the summit handbook, there are some great resources around grounding and breathing. So please tap into that as you uh, desire to. Yes, thanks, Hannah, for dropping the resources and the summit handbook links. Yeah, and then finally, just we would love to stay connected with you all. We are serious when we say like healing is collective work. We are committed to doing this in community. And so yeah, just feel free to get in touch with us and stay connected. So our information is on the slide, and there's also a link to a email if you want to like stay in touch via email, and you can sign up in that form. Is there anything else, Mohini, that I'm missing? Sorry, as we're like rushing to an end.
No, I think that's it. Yeah, would love to stay connected. Our information is here, so and it'll come out afterwards as well, and I can make sure that the Spotify playlists are also included because that looks like that was a request. Also, and you will also get like you mentioned, all the practices compiled together. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for liberating yourselves a little bit more and for reclaiming your roots and knowing that that also has so many ripple effects within the collective space. So thank you for taking care of yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to SOAR for creating this amazing, beautiful space.
Thank you so, so much.
you.
That was beautiful, amazing. The irony of we didn't want to make you end when we're talking about slowing down. But in the spirit of slowing down, we wanted to make sure everyone had a 10-minute break at least before we have a beautiful reading with Fariha. We'll totally send out all those resources, add them to the handbook. But I can't thank you enough, Mohini and Nidal. It's so cool to see you guys go from sanctuaries to this, and I felt such a release. That was beautiful. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thanks, SOAR. Thank you, community. Thank you, community.
Yes, thank you all. Take care.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.